Most advertisers lose money on Google Ads because they allow their ads to show up for irrelevant or even inappropriate searches a lot of the time without even knowing it. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create negative keyword lists and the 3 negative keyword lists that I use in every single Google Ads account. Every single Google Ads advertiser needs these. I'm going to show you how to create them, how to apply them to your existing campaigns. If you set these up today, you will immediately cut wasted spend and start protecting your brand. Please take a second to like this video and subscribe because it makes my grandmother proud. Let's get into it. I'm just going to provide a quick explanation on what negative keywords are and why they matter. So if you're running a search campaign or any campaign that shows up in the search network, it could be Performance Max as well, Google is going to show your ads for search terms that they think match with your keywords. Now, Google implies intent, they imply search terms that have the same or similar theme. We're not going to get into match types in this video, but essentially what negative keywords do is they prevent Google from showing your ads on irrelevant or damaging searches, ones that aren't relevant to the product or the service that you're trying to sell. Without negative keywords in place, you can bleed your budget on garbage clicks because if your ads are showing up for irrelevant searches, those likely aren't going to lead to conversion, but in a cost per click environment, you still have to pay for those clicks. Especially with the continued push for automation, broad match keywords, Performance Max, now AI Max for search like Google just rolled out. Google is going to continue to take a lot of liberties and decide what terms are going to trigger your ads, and the goal of a negative keyword list is to prevent that as much as possible. Okay, these are the 3 must-have negative keyword lists. Number 1 is your brand safety negatives. So essentially what your brand safety negatives are terms that you never ever want to show up for, because if your ads show up next to or for these terms, people are going to associate them with your brand if they recognize that your ad showed up here. Some examples could be like free, scam, lawsuit, cheap, reviews. That might be relevant for you. Reviews typically is not a intentional search or one where someone has a lot of intent behind it to buy a product or to engage with a service, and it just protects brand credibility. Now there's some in here that might not necessarily apply to your brand, like these ones, for example, jobs, career, internship, application. Like if you are a careers business or if you are a recruiter, things like this, obviously you would want these to be part of this, but there's some in here, I'm not going to read them because they're highly inappropriate, but that's the brand safety negative keyword list. And I've worked with some really large agencies before, even they use these really extensive negative keyword lists for terms, and like I said, ones that are in here that I'm not going to read because you really never know what Google's going to do and we want to prevent it at all costs. Number 2 is your brand name negatives. So I didn't put anything in here, just your brand in quotation marks. The quotation marks indicate a phrase match negative keyword. Now most of the keywords, or all of the keywords in these lists, I believe, are phrase match negative keywords. Now what phrase match negative keywords are is any word or phrase or term that includes that specific phrase that you're trying to exclude. All of them will be excluded. So for example, let's take lawsuit, for example. Anything that had lawsuit in it would be excluded from it. Not just lawsuit as it stands by itself, but insert term plus lawsuit, that would be excluded too. And it doesn't matter how many words there are in that phrase. Anything containing lawsuit would be excluded. And same thing with the brand name negatives. If your brand was Apple, for example, if you put Apple in here, somebody who typed in Apple iPhone or Apple MacBook or things like that would be excluded from this as well. The goal here, like, you don't want your own brand to trigger certain campaigns. It doesn't make any sense in that way. Unless you are running a brand specific campaign, it's going to inflate your results. Things are going to get messy. The goal is to prevent any inflated results, especially, like I said, with Performance Max, with broad match keywords, all these things that are going to show your brand name because it is low-hanging fruit. So you have to deliberately exclude them by using this brand safety or using this brand name negative keyword list. Number 3 is your competitor negative keyword list. So same thing as the other one. I didn't put specific examples because you know your competitors and you know the products that aren't relevant but are somewhat similar to your brand or your service. So what this does is it stops you from accidentally bidding on competitors or irrelevant products unless you're doing it intentionally. So you might be running a conquesting campaign or a competitor campaign. Keep these terms in those campaigns. Don't allow competitor terms to show up in your non-brand specific campaigns. Another way to just save money, prevent unnecessary clicks, ones that aren't going to lead to conversions. Typically, if somebody's looking, for example, for a great burger joint or the best steakhouse in the area, and you are a vegan restaurant that's running ads on Google, you might have broad match keywords in place that could show your ad for that, because Google does things like that. And we don't want that to happen for obvious reasons. It would be highly frowned upon. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is how to apply these in practice. So if I jump into Google Ads here, in a Google Ads account, what you're going to do is you're going to jump over here to your shared library, which is over here on the left-hand side of the tools. You're going to have your exclusion lists in here. So I already have these exclusion lists because this is an existing account, but literally what you would do is you would click plus, you would name the list after what I have in here. So we can start with brand safety. We'll just name it universal list always on. You take the entire list, you copy it, you paste it in, and you hit save. I'm not going to hit save because I already have it in place for this specific brand. And then you're going to do the same thing with the other ones. You take your brand name negative keywords that you put in here, you create a new list, you'd name it brand negatives or whatever I said it was. Yeah, brand name negatives. Type, create brand name negatives, and you'd paste those in there, and then you click save. And that's how you do it. Same thing for those competitor ones as well. And these can be added to on an ongoing basis. Just because you are adding to them now doesn't mean that it's set in stone. You can add to a list, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So now that we have these, essentially, if you already had your campaigns built, like let's say you had a Performance Max campaign live or a non-brand search campaign live, you could literally just take all of these, including the competitor one if you don't want your ads to show up for competitor searches, which typically you wouldn't. Like I would typically apply these to any non-brand campaign. Universal list should be applied to any campaign that shows up on the search network. Competitor should as well, unless it's a competitor or a conquesting campaign, and then the brand name negatives should always be in those campaigns as well, unless it's a brand specific campaign. You click apply to campaigns, and then you could select the specific campaigns that you already have live to apply them. You do have to create the campaign first before you can apply the list. Like you can't, it doesn't prompt you here to create a new campaign from this page or this interface, which makes sense. So you'd have to create those campaigns first and then go back and remember as part of your campaign creation process to add the negative keyword lists and apply them to the existing campaigns. Something else that you can do, if you're just under campaigns, like let's just click into any random campaign. What I would do is just click into, like let's take a search campaign for example. What you would do is come down here to keywords, and then under keywords, you click over to negative keywords, and then you'll see that list is already in here. But what you can do, and this actually happens to be a brand campaign, which is why the brand name negative keyword list isn't in here. But let's say you type in whatever your negative keyword is, you can hit save to new or existing list, and then you can add that to an existing list. Something else you could do under negative keywords is click on use negative keyword list as well. And then similar to what I showed you before on how to apply the negative keyword lists to the campaigns, this would allow you to also add a negative keyword list to this specific campaign that I'm double tapped into. If you want to apply wholesale across the board and make it a little bit easier, do it the other way where you can just take those campaigns or take those negative keyword lists, select them, and then apply them across the board to any campaigns that you want to do. So just a couple best practices. The big thing with this is continue to keep these lists updated. You won't really have to update the universal list or the brand safety list or even your brand name list. The one that you will want to keep an eye on is the competitor one. You'll probably need to add to that on an ongoing basis. As you start to scale your budget, if you start to run more Performance Max campaigns or running AI Max for search or experiment with phrase match or broad match keywords, there's going to be new potential competitors or irrelevant products or services that uncover themselves in those search terms. You're just going to want to add those as phrase match negatives to that existing negative keyword list, the competitor one. And once you update the list itself, it'll update within all the campaigns that it's already applied to. So you won't need to go into every single campaign and do that over and over again. So just a brief recap. Your brand safety is to protect your brand image and your reputation. Don't show up for inappropriate searches. Number two, Your brand negatives are for clean reporting, not for inflating results like they will if you have a brand name keyword in a non-brand campaign, or you're letting brand show up in non-brand. Conversion rate in ROAS is always going to be higher for brand because it's intentional. When someone is searching for your brand, it's more likely that they're going to convert, or they're already familiar with your product or your service or your brand. So it's going to inflate your results. And Google is going to heed in that direction anyways. I don't even know if that's the right word to use, but they're going to move in that direction and use low-hanging fruit like brand, because it's going to make your campaigns look like they perform better, which means you're going to spend more money on Google Ads because you think everything's great. And the last thing is your competitor negatives, also to stop wasted spend, also to not show up for other brands that you are likely not going to convert for, because when someone is searching for another brand, they're looking for that brand specifically. Get these set up today. It does not take long at all. I pasted the template that I showed, the spreadsheet, in the description below so that you can take it, you can make a copy of it, do whatever you want with it, and you'll start saving money immediately by doing this. If you got any value from this video or care at all about how much my grandma loves me, you'd like this video and you would subscribe for more content just like this, because we post every single week and really want to help you scale paid ads and learn more about it. Have a great day.